My name is Claire Abington. I'm 26 years old. 3 years ago, I sat across the kitchen table from my parents and watched them slide a bank statement toward my brother like it was a gift. It was $42,000. Every cent of the college fund my grandmother had spent 15 years building for me. My mother folded her hands and looked at me with an expression I can only describe as patient, like she'd rehearsed it. "You're not the academic type, Claire," she said. "You've always struggled. Marcus has real potential. It just makes more sense." I didn't cry. I was too stunned to cry. I stared at the number, $42,000, and felt something go very quiet inside me. What they didn't know was that I'd already been accepted somewhere. Not just anywhere, one of the best design programs in the country. Full application, portfolio, recommendation letters, everything I'd worked on for a year without telling them, because I knew what they'd say before I even asked. 3 years later, when the dean of that program personally called their house to tell them what their daughter had built, I wasn't there to see their faces. I'm told they went pale. Before I tell you what happened on that call, and everything that led to it, please like and subscribe, but only if you genuinely enjoy this story. And drop a comment. Where are you watching from, and what time is it there? I love knowing where you all are in the world. Now let me take you back to where it really started. Growing up in Columbus, Ohio, I learned early that intelligence in my family was something you either had or you didn't. And according to everyone who mattered, Marcus had it. My family, quick version. Dad was a high school vice principal who believed in measurable outcomes. Mom stayed home, managed our schedules, and believed in Marcus. My brother Marcus was 3 years older than me. Debate team, honor roll, the kind of kid who got standing ovations at graduation. And me? I was the creative one, which, in my family, was a polite way of saying I wasn't the smart one. I drew constantly, sketched on everything, spent hours designing things in notebooks that my mother called doodles and my father called distractions. I told myself they just didn't understand yet. When I was 12, my art teacher entered one of my pieces in a regional competition without telling me. I won second place, came home excited, handed my mom the ribbon. She smiled. "That's sweet, honey." Then called Marcus downstairs to tell him his SAT prep tutor had called. His tutor cost $180 a week. My art supplies that year cost $23, and I bought them with birthday money. I told myself it was fine. Artistic kids found their own way. I'd read that somewhere. When I was 16, a local design firm ran a summer internship program for high schoolers. Unpaid, competitive, only 8 spots in the city. I applied and got one. It was the first time I'd ever been chosen for anything. My parents' response was to remind me that Marcus needed the car those mornings for his AP exam study group, so I'd have to take the bus. Both ways, an hour each direction. I took the bus every day for 8 weeks. Never complained. Came home with a portfolio and a letter of recommendation from the firm's creative director, a woman named Diane who told me I had a rare eye for spatial design. I showed the letter to my dad. He read it, handed it back, and said, "Design is a tough field to make a living in." That was it. Marcus got a new laptop that fall for his college applications. $1,400, top of the line. I was still using the family computer in the living room, the one that took 4 minutes to load anything. I told myself at least I had access to one. But the college fund, that was the one that cracked everything open. My grandmother, my father's mother, Nana Bev, had told me when I was 10 that she was saving money for my education. She'd shown me the account once, a little printout she kept in an envelope in her Bible. "This is yours, Claire Bear," she said, "for whatever you want to learn." Nana Bev died the summer I turned 17. She left the account to my parents, designated for my college education. That was in her will, clearly written, witnessed, and signed. What I didn't know, what I wouldn't find out until a year later, sitting at that kitchen table, was that my parents had redirected it. All of it. $42,000. To Marcus, for his master's program in economics, because his undergraduate scholarships hadn't covered the full cost of graduate school, and they didn't want him to take on debt. I found out at 18, after I'd spent a year quietly assembling the best application I could, working around them, taking out a small personal loan to cover the application fees, doing everything right and in secret, because some part of me knew that asking permission meant being told no. My father slid the statement across the table and explained it like a business decision. My mother said I wasn't the academic type. I asked one question. What about Nana Bev's wishes? She wanted what was best for you kids, Mom said. This is what's best for you kids. I drove to the library that night because I needed to be somewhere that wasn't our house. I sat in the parking lot for a long time. I thought about Nana Bev showing me that envelope. I thought about her face when she said the money was mine. Then I went inside, sat at a public computer, and pulled up the acceptance email I'd been carrying around in my inbox for 3 weeks. Columbus College of Art and Design had accepted me into their graphic design program. Merit scholarship, partial, not full. The gap was going to be significant without Nana Bev's fund, without any family help, without anything. I read the acceptance email 4 times. Then I logged into my student portal and confirmed my enrollment. I wasn't going to tell them. Not yet. Not until I had something to show. There's a woman named Diane Chen. I mentioned her earlier, the creative director who supervised my internship when I was 16. She'd stayed in loose contact with me after that summer, the occasional email checking in on my work. After that night in the library parking lot, I emailed her. I told her what had happened in broad terms. My funding had fallen through, I'd been accepted to a program I wanted to attend badly, and I was trying to figure out how to make it work. She called me the next morning. How much is the gap? She asked. I told her. Around $18,000 over 4 years, after the merit scholarship and what I'd be able to earn. Okay, she said. Here's what I can do. I'm going to offer you a paid remote design assistant position. Part-time, real work, real pay. You'll do it alongside school. It'll be hard, but it'll cover the gap. I was quiet for a long moment. Diane, why are you doing this? She said. Because I've seen a lot of young designers. You're the only one in 15 years who took notes with a pencil and went back to revise them. That tells me how you think. I cried in the car afterward. The ugly, relieved kind. The kind where you realize someone saw you before you even knew you needed to be seen. My parents thought I was taking a gap year. I let them think it. My first semester at CCAD, I worked 20 hours a week for Diane remotely, attended 18 credit hours, slept 6 hours a night if I was lucky, and built the best work of my life. I was so focused it scared me sometimes. I'd wake at 6, answer emails from Diane's client accounts, commute to campus, spend 7 hours in studios and lectures, come home and open my laptop again. On weekends, I didn't go out much. I wasn't monastic about it. I had a small group of friends in the program who understood the pace, but I was intentional. Every hour I spent on something that didn't move me forward felt like a door closing, and I'd had enough closed doors. I wasn't doing any of this out of anger. I want to be clear about that. The anger had been real, sharp, and hot for the weeks right after that kitchen table conversation. But anger burns out fast when you don't feed it. What replaced it was quieter and more useful. It was a kind of clarity. Nobody was coming to rescue me. There was no fund waiting, no parental safety net, no fallback. That was actually okay. It turned out that knowing there was no floor beneath you teaches you very quickly how to keep yourself from falling. By the end of my first year, I had a real professional portfolio. Client work, published pieces, a grade point average of 3.87. Diane had started giving me more complex projects, full branding packages, campaign concepting for mid-size companies, identity redesigns for clients who paid real money and had real opinions. She paid me $22 an hour at first. By my second year, I was making $28. By my third, she'd bumped me to $34 and started putting my name in client-facing documents. My parents still didn't know where I was or what I was doing. I came home for Christmas both years, kept things surface level, said I was figuring things out and doing some freelance work. My mom asked during my second Christmas visit if I'd considered a medical billing certification program she'd seen advertised on television. My dad asked if Marcus had called me. I said yes, even though he hadn't. There was one hard moment, about halfway through sophomore year, when money got genuinely tight. A software subscription I needed for a major client project cost $600 I didn't have. I sat with my laptop open for a long time, thinking about the $42,000, thinking about Marcus getting a master's degree funded by my grandmother's love. That was the closest I came to letting the anger back in. Instead, I emailed Diane and explained the situation. She advanced me 2 weeks of pay and told me to expense the software. "That's what partners do," she said. I paid her back the following month. I don't know why that small exchange mattered so much, but it did. Someone treating me like a partner, not a burden, not a charity case, but a person doing real work who'd hit a timing problem. That landed somewhere deep. Marcus, for what it's worth, wasn't cruel. He was just oblivious. He'd accepted the money without question because that was the water he'd always swum in. He sent me a text when I turned 20 that said, "Happy B-Day," with a balloon emoji. That was the extent of it. I didn't hate him. You can't really hate someone for accepting what they've always been handed. Sophomore year, I entered a national student design competition, one of the most recognized in the industry. The prompt was to redesign a public health communication campaign for young adults. I spent 6 weeks on my submission, used everything Diane had taught me, everything I'd absorbed in my classes, everything I had. I placed first. The prize was $5,000 and a feature in a national design publication. They photographed my work, put my name in print. I have no words for what that felt like. I sat with it for a whole day before I told anyone. Just me and the knowledge that I had done something real. Diane cried on the phone. Actual tears. "I knew," she kept saying. "I just knew." I texted my parents a photo of the magazine page. My mom replied, "Wow, is that a hobby thing or does it pay?" I put my phone down and went back to work. By my junior year, Diane had made me a junior associate at her firm. Real title, higher pay, a stake in client relationships. I was 21, still in school, and already doing work that mattered. My portfolio from those years would go on to win 3 more regional awards. I graduated at 22 with a 3.91 GPA, a professional network, and a job already waiting. And then, about a month before graduation, something happened that I hadn't planned for. My program chair, Dr. Yolanda Freeman, an extraordinary woman who had watched my progress for 4 years, called me into her office. "I want to nominate you for the Dean's Distinguished Graduate Award," she said. "It's given to 1 student per graduating class. It's not just about grades, it's about contribution to the field." I received the award at graduation. The dean, Dr. Philip Osei, spoke about my work specifically. Named 3 pieces, described the competition win and the client work and what it represented. There was one thing I didn't know. The dean's office sent a formal letter to the families of award recipients, a congratulatory letter signed by Dr. Osei himself, addressed to my parents, describing what their daughter had accomplished. And then, this is what I found out later, through a relative who witnessed it, my father called the school. He'd received the letter and, apparently, had no idea I was even enrolled there. He called to ask if there had been a mistake, told the person on the phone that his daughter hadn't attended college. Dr. Osei's assistant flagged the call. Dr. Osei called him back personally. I am told that conversation lasted 40 minutes, that my father's voice was very quiet by the end of it, that he asked several times to make sure the numbers were correct, the GPA, the award, the competition placement, the published work. He said, "We didn't know." Dr. Osei said, "I gathered that." I wasn't on that call. I was in Diane's office in downtown Columbus, celebrating with the small team who'd watched me grow from a nervous 18-year-old sending cold emails into someone who could run a client meeting without notes. My mother called me that evening. I saw her name and let it ring. She called again, and again. On the fourth call, I picked up. She didn't say hello. She said, "Why didn't you tell us?" I thought about that for a moment. "Because you told me I wasn't smart enough." Silence. "Claire, you took Nana Bev's money and gave it to Marcus. You told me I wasn't the academic type. You said design was too hard to make a living in. I decided to find out for myself." More silence. Then, "We didn't know we thought—" "I know what you thought." I kept my voice level. Not cold, just clear. "And you weren't totally wrong about one thing. I did struggle in school the way you measured it. Tests, memorization, sitting still. That was hard for me. But I was never not smart, Mom. I was just smart in ways you never looked for." She started to cry. My mother, who I had almost never seen cry. I didn't hang up. I stayed on the line. "I'm not telling you this to hurt you," I said. "I'm telling you because I want you to understand what the last 4 years actually were. I want you to know that I'm okay, that I made it work, that your decision, as painful as it was, didn't stop me. Someone else believed in me when you didn't, and I ran with it." She asked if she could come to graduation. I had already walked. The ceremony had been 2 weeks earlier. She cried harder. I let her. Then I told her I had to go, and that I would call her soon. The weeks after that were complicated, the way things always are when a family starts reckoning with itself. My dad sent a letter, handwritten, 3 pages, the first handwritten letter I'd ever received from him. He didn't make many excuses. He said he'd been wrong to conflate academic performance with intelligence. He said he was sorry about Nana Bev's fund. He said he was proud, and that he knew that word probably felt strange coming from him after everything. It did feel strange. But it also felt real, Marcus called eventually. He was awkward about it, genuinely unsure what to say. He ended up saying, "I didn't know Mom and Dad did that with the money. I thought you'd chosen not to go to school." I believed him. We're not close, but we're not broken either. He's figuring out his own things. My parents and I have a relationship now. It's careful and honest and slowly getting easier. My mother came to visit me in the apartment I share with 2 other designers in Columbus, and she stood in my studio space, a corner of the living room with a drawing table and a good monitor and shelves full of the process work I've accumulated over 4 years. And she was very quiet for a long time. "You built this," she finally said. "Yeah," I said. "I did." She touched the edge of my competition piece framed on the wall. "I didn't know what to look for." "I know," I said. "I think you do now." Forgiving them was a process, not a moment. It took me a long time to separate what they did from who they are. They're not evil, they're limited. They looked at me and saw a kid who struggled with standardized tests and spent too much time drawing, and they made a decision based on what they could see. What they couldn't see was the work ethic underneath the daydreaming, the spatial intelligence underneath the distraction, the discipline that would carry me through 4 years of school and part-time work and competition entries and late nights without a single safety net. I don't need them to have been different. I just needed to find out who I was without waiting for their permission. Today, I'm 26. I'm a full associate at Diane's firm. I earn more in a month than my parents expected me to earn in a year. Nana Bev's fund, the money that went to Marcus, was $42,000. I've already earned that back twice over, and I'm just getting started. I have health insurance I pay for myself, a savings account, a retirement fund I started at 23 because someone told me to start early, and I listened. I have clients who trust me. I have a mentor who changed my life. I have work that means something to me every single day. And I have this, the knowledge that I showed up for myself when no one else did. If you're someone who's been told you're not the smart one, not the talented one, not the one the resources should go to, I want you to hear this clearly. Somebody else's limited vision of you is not your ceiling. It is not your reality. It is not your future. It is just their mistake. You don't need their belief. You need yours. Find the Diane in your life. Do the work quietly. Let the results speak loud. And don't ever let anyone's definition of smart put a limit on what you build. Thank you for staying with me until the end. If this story meant something to you, please like and subscribe. Have you ever been underestimated by someone who should have believed in you? What did you do with that? Drop your answer in the comments. I read every single one. Until next time, remember, the people who doubted you don't get to take credit for who you become. That belongs to you.